Hey there, Ms. Butler.
Hello.
Hey, Alicia.
Hello.
Hey, Michelle. Love it. We've
Hi.
got people trickling in. How's the end of the month treating everybody? Must be busy everywhere.
It's snowy in Detroit.
Sure.
I'm unable to not talk about the cold. I'm sorry. It is an all-encompassing thing for me.
Top of mind for everybody, I feel.
Very
All
top
these
of mind.
storms everywhere. Yikes. Alrighty, let's give people another minute and then jump right into today. Alrighty. Well, thank you everybody for joining Chalk Talk today. This is a quick 30-minute session that we have every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, where we talk about ideas, questions, and try to give you some support. Hey, Mr. Lin, how are you?
Oh, I'm well. I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was off.
Oh, you're totally fine. So last week we talked a little bit about what data can we collect, what is useful from all of that data, why is it important to even have data in the first place? And this week I thought it would be interesting to talk a little bit about what to do with that data. So great, cool, awesome. We're glad we provide all of these reports, but then how does it really translate into something meaningful? What are the steps that we can take? What are the different ways that we can leverage all of this great data that we're getting? In terms of why it matters, I'm sure everybody's feeling this. We're getting data from 1,000 different places. Like as technology grows, as we implement more technology in our schools, we feel like there's just a lot of overwhelm in terms of where we're pulling data from. And at the end of the day, it's difficult to prioritize what we want to work on. So, how do we figure out which standards we want to identify? And then how do we actually do something about it at scale? Okay, great. Maybe from a practice test that I'm taking, I'm able to figure out what the students need a little bit of help with. But then how do I make sure that they get that help? It's actually pretty difficult to kind of spend time on creating those questions and figuring out which students need to be put into which groups. In terms of a reality check, we do have, 20 kids on average in each class. There's lots of different standards and very, very limited instructional time. And we see a lot of people taking the time to decide what matters outside of contract hours. And I'm sure we have so many educators on the line today. Michelle, how much time have you spent outside of your contracted hours to work on something for your students? I mean, if you have any stories or anything you could share there, I'd love to hear.
I'll put it to you this way. I started my day as a principal around 7:30, and I
Hmm.
didn't leave the building at night until around 8, 9 o'clock.
Oh my gosh.
So, but
Yeah.
half of it chasing and looking at student data, looking at, whatever tools we had and trying to make sense of it, implementing programs to just move the needle on student achievement and just being able to say, you know what, I have to stop looking at it and make teams of teachers look at it. That
Yeah.
was the game.
I think Mr. Lin and I were talking a couple of weeks ago as well, and there are some key questions I think all administrators and educators in general, like teachers, administrators, you're asking the same questions every single day. Like, what do I need to talk about in class today? What should I cover? Which students need help on which standards? How do we figure that out? how do I actually create a smaller group and like drive instruction there? Like how can I strategize? And then do I need to reteach anything? A lot of these questions are very common. And I think while we do a good job of giving that raw data, I think there's a lot better that we can do at Lumos in terms of manipulating that data. But then the next steps that teachers can take, I think we do a good job with the custom lessons and figuring out how we can create something special from those digital workbooks and push it out in different ways, whether that's engaging or not. I'd love to show you guys more about how to do that in towards the end of this call today. But in terms of why all of this is so hard, why the planning is difficult, it's not easy to review all of those practice tests and to kind of look for patterns or try to figure out where you can pull people into different groups. It is very, very hard to spend time outside of your normal contract hours doing all of this strategizing and figuring out how to push out all of these questions. And a lot of times we see, like earlier this month, I was talking to another one of our schools in Illinois. They were talking about their PLC cycles and how Lumos is super, super helpful to reduce that time they spend on just writing questions. Because before they started working with us, they would manually sit and write out all of these questions to make sure that it was aligned with their state standards. And luckily, we've been able to help them this year reduce about 3 full days of their workload just that would have usually been spent on writing out these questions and trying to push them out to the students. I think today we sometimes are asking, all right, do we have the data? Do we have the tools? But I think we need to start focusing on is the data talking to the tools in the right way? Are we really allowing this data to kind of have something meaningful and create something useful that we can implement in our school? Like, is it realistic? But also, can we do it consistently on a regular basis? I think that's the real question that we're trying to answer. In terms of ideas, questions, any thoughts that you guys have on the difficulties of converting this data into an actual plan? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Or if you had any questions, this is a great time to ask them too. All right, well, as those wheels are turning, I do have a couple of things that I'd love to show you guys in our tool. So I'm gonna pull up a teacher account. Do you guys see a screen that says, "Oh, welcome, Jeremy Brunton"? Oh, I see Mr. Lin nodding.
Yes.
Okay, some people are seeing it. Mr. Lin,
I
um,
I might be missing it. Is it another screen?
no, you should see it on Zoom. Hold on, let me try to reshare really quick.
Vivek, I can see it.
Yes, I could
Oh,
see it as well. Not anymore, but I could see it before you.
interesting. All right, hold on. Now we're good? Ah, awesome. So this is what our dashboard would look like. And when a teacher comes in, let's operate under the assumption that we've completed all of our practice tests, we have the data. So we're going to go into lesson details, and this math teacher is going to say, all right, how can I group a couple of students together? Or how can I select what I want to work on for the next day? I would, if I were in that position, if I was Mr. Brunton, I would go in and switch over from question view to standard view in lesson details. Well, I guess there are multiple ways to look at it. If this is, let's say, right after I've completed grading and I simply want to focus on what we've covered in the practice test, then I would do it a little differently. Let's give the tool a second. It seems to be, it could be my internet as well. We've been having troubles all morning. But of course, it's when I'm on a live call that this is going to happen. Oh, oh, there's movement on the screen. Alrighty. So this is the little report that I would get. And I think the first thing I would do is just quickly glance through to see if there's any very scary number in those average proficiencies for each individual question. Now, here I can see that the majority of the class got this one wrong. It might be worth just taking a quick 10-minute, bell ringer to just go over this one question with the entire class so that we know that everyone's understood it. All I have to do is click on this little plus sign under that question. And that's going to add this question to the resource kit. So there's this little blue button. If I click on resource kit, then I can work on this one question that the class did not do very well in the form of a smartboard lesson. So here I'm going to go back to my lessons. So I just created a custom lesson just with one question that the students did not do well on. And then here at the bottom, I can see that little test that I created, and I'm going to click on Smartboard. So what this does is that one question, so we couldn't do it for this question type, but the idea is that I can work on this one question with the entire classroom, make sure they understand it, break it down a little bit further if required, and we can do that in an engaging way. So just making sure that it's not one of these two question types. So here it says the MCQ and drag and drop ECR are in this. So we only allow MCQ, drag and drop, and extended constructed responses to be thrown up on the smartboard. So in a different question type, we'd be able to use it. So here we couldn't do that. But let's say we're back in lesson details. We now are looking at standards that students are not doing well on. So I'm going from question view over to standard view. And here, as I scroll through, I can see 30A5. We need to work on that a little bit more. So I can quickly copy that standard number, go over to my lessons, which is under assigned practice. And remember, I only want to work on that one standard because the entire class did not do very well, and that's multiplication and division properties. So here I can go into that little eyeball symbol or the preview icon, and I can create a small little custom lesson that the students can go through. So let's say I want the first three. And this is just to start the day off to give them a little bit of practice. I can also ask them to watch a video from Khan Academy as part of the little assignment. So they're going to start off with the video. So here you can see there's one video, and then they're going to go on to answer three questions. And this is just a quick, 15-minute activity that you can begin the day with. And it's also going to be targeted. It's going to be based on the entire class's performance rather than just picking and choosing something random. And again, so whenever we create these custom lessons, you can always go see them under My Lessons at the very, very bottom of your screen. So that's where it lives. Now, when I push this out and I click Assign, this will look like a normal assignment or a normal test that the students are getting. So they can complete it asynchronously, and you don't even need to discuss it right away in class then and there. But if you're looking for that engagement, there's always that smartboard tool. Do we have any questions or ideas of how else this could be used? Or maybe you have an idea of how your teacher may want to use this or how you'd like to use this in your classroom, and I could help you or show you how to use it. Alrighty. Well, we also allow for creating things from a practice test. So let's say you want to pull something from across different standards. You could quickly go in and look at only the standards that are being pulled from this practice test. So if you want to give them targeted practice like that, maybe a shorter version of that unit, you could always create assignments that resemble that particular session in the practice test. Or you could also go in to check here what the different question types are. So in this particular digital workbook, we see that there are some extended constructed responses. So that's a great workbook to choose if I want to give my students more practice just in one question type. So using this little information button to figure out where those question types are is super helpful. Awesome. Well, that kind of brings us to the end of our demonstration. The main thing I want to highlight, which I didn't talk about at the beginning, all of the remedials after a student takes their first practice test are automatic. So if you don't have the time to actually figure out how to create a smaller group, or if you don't have the time to sit down and work on specific standards with the student, that's okay. Lumos helps you give that one-on-one individual attention. So you always have a little bit of support with those auto remedials. And if you're ever curious to see whether that automatic remedial has been assigned or not, just check in on your class assignments on your dashboard, and you'll see a little column over here called auto remedial. If there's a little check mark there, that means your students are taking their remedials as required. Awesome. Well, today's Chalk Talk was a little shorter than usual. If we have any questions, I'm going to stay on till the very end of the 30 minutes so that I can help anybody out. As per usual, we have our support team on the call so they can answer any of your questions or do things as required. But until next week, that's it for me with Chalk Talk. So I'll stick around until the end, like I said. But anybody else is free to leave if you don't have any questions or anything to add. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sorry, I stumbled down a rabbit hole and I noticed, I saw the symbol that I've never noticed before. There's a coherence map.
There is. So the coherence map helps kind of understand what comes in the previous grade level, what standard comes after, especially when we're trying to figure out like where a student needs help. It is quite
Yeah,
useful.
I guess I was trying to, yeah. So I guess like, we had our meeting yesterday. Yeah, super useful. I think awesome. Um, I guess if I'm looking for, so I guess like in essence, I'm looking for extended construction response question types, either in like exponents or scientific notation. Is there an easier way to do that instead of kind of like clicking into the standard and clicking on like info? I don't know if there's like a,
Let's look into that. Hold on, let me try a couple
yeah,
things out.
because I know, I mean, that's like been our focus and it's going to continue to be our focus, but we are getting into like that unit. So would be nice to be able to like I know that we can go to the Illinois test bank, but I guess I was wondering like, is there a way to do it on here?
Of course. Hold on, let me actually
Yeah,
log into your school's account so that we can look into IAR specifically.
yeah. 'Cause I see a lot of like
And you said you
contacts
wanted to
and
focus on open-ended in a particular standard, correct?
yeah, like I guess yeah, the I think ECR question types
Okay. So we are intrinsic.
might not just be that many. But the coherence map is also pretty neat. I'm not sure what to do with it yet, but it's also like a really nice skill. We used to go to what is that? There's like a website that also has one. Oh, I think it was Achieve the Core. That's what it was.
What standard were we just talking about? Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's any of these like 8 EE A4 or anything with scientific notation.
EEA4. All right. Solving problems involving scientific notation. So we have 25 multiple choice,
Yeah.
27, sorry, and one drop down. So we would probably need to go and create a question.
Yeah.
Have you tried that before, creating an assignment?
I have not. No.
Oh, cool. Let me see if I can show you how to do that. That's actually a lot of fun. I love it
Yeah.
because you can do it using prompts.
Okay.
So we can test it out together actually and see how it goes.
Sure.
Um, I don't want to share your account on
Yeah,
the
yeah, I appreciate that.
yeah,
I
so
appreciate
hold
that.
on one second. Let me
Yeah,
log
yeah.
out of this and then log into a demo account. Ooh, that took a second. All right, thanks for your patience.
No, no, no worries. I think I am putzing around in that right now. I just went to like my lessons, and then I think I'm creating a custom lesson.
Yeah, exactly. So we would just scroll to the bottom and then hit create a lesson. And then I would create my own, or I could create using Edge Search. Now here is where I could find on the coherence map what I'd want to use. There's so many different options. And this might get, so here is, it might get a little confusing for your teachers. So I would recommend if we're just focusing on a particular standard, we know the question types. You could peek in at a question in preview. Okay, so this sounds like a question that could be asked in open-ended form, right?
Yeah. So yeah, so then you can,
Yeah, so we could, I think this is a good
oh,
question or something good to try, maybe even the one above here. Um, so if we expected them to give like we were talking about earlier in terms of illustrative mathematics, so
yeah,
we would just convert this exact question into an open-ended response instead of a multiple choice.
yeah,
So you don't even need to spend too much time looking for the or thinking up a question. You don't have to, Google anything. Um, you just copy paste it. And here you would decide what the question type is. So here I would just say extended constructed response. And then I would also think about maybe selecting this. So saying yes. And then let's say that we want to create a lesson with 5 different questions. And then
yeah,
I can just paste this in and say, the above is an example of the kind of questions I would like to ask. Focus on IAR standards that relate to scientific education. Um, oh, guess I don't know how to spell. And then we could say, I am a grade 8 math teacher and like create 5 questions, all open-ended response type. Um, give each of the questions a 3-point scale. I just am saying things right off the top of my head. Obviously, the teachers would probably have a much more narrow approach of like what they want
Yeah.
to test the students on. But it does take a second, especially when you use the AI prompt. But
Yeah.
the cool thing about it is you can also throw in pictures. So if you have like a certain, I know for the younger students, like the teachers love like the clock questions and
Yeah.
having like a little picture there. But even for the older students, like graphs and things like that, the picture really helps. But the reason I like the prompting part is because you can copy paste like one question that you like and then say
Yeah.
make 5 of those, and then you have a little formative test right there.
Yeah. I did that with one of the questions and it came out really nicely. And there's like a really detailed explanation. Um, oh, and then there's like an image PDF. What is like,
Oh, cool. So you're able to see every, yeah,
oh,
that's awesome.
yeah.
And the cool thing is you can also create these in the admin account. So if you feel like you could maybe take some of that load off of your teachers,
Yeah.
or if you have like a coach or a lead teacher, they could always create these and then push them out to the students when the teacher thinks it's the right time.
Hmm. This is pretty cool. I know that we're like I don't there's a couple AI platforms that I think we're like playing around with, but this is really helpful.
Awesome. Yeah, it does take some time though before
Yeah.
it comes up and
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's doing a lot of thinking and work. I think
well,
this
it's
is also why
saving.
they're firing up 3 Mile Island again, right? Need more, Microsoft needs more electricity.
Yeah, oh Lord. There's always that flip side that we don't think about.
I know it's always
Oh,
a lot of processing. But no, this is fantastic. I'm gonna have to get off into another meeting.
oh yeah, of course.
But it worked really nicely. And the explanation that it provided is a lot more detailed than I would have expected. Is this like so the detailed explanation? Is that like, so when if we share this with students, do they see the detailed explanation or is the detailed explanation more for like teachers?
The students will see it only after
Okay.
they've responded.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's part
Imagine.
of their report or the results
Right.
page.
But it's sort of like, yeah. So if they're like struggling with it, they can like see it and then potentially learn from it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. This was terrific. Thank you so much. Super
No
helpful.
problem. Thank you for joining.
Yeah. Take care.
Alrighty, everybody. If there are no other questions, I'm probably just gonna call it a day. Thanks again for joining, and I will see you next week.